and welcome to another edition of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network Patreon exclusive content show. As always, I am your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. Just got wrapped up with the live stream portion of the show, and I have you guys now for the next half hour of exclusive content. And on this, from the time I started doing the Patreon portion of the show, we've had some mishaps so far. In general, we had my dog barking on one of these, and she actually did during the live stream, which it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and I would love to have her just sit in the back on my bed and, you know, just go about my business with the show. But I just don't trust her, just to sit there for the whole hour without doing anything. I mean, especially if she hears something, somebody comes into the house or something, and she starts barking like crazy. It's gonna scare you know, it's gonna jump scare me, and I don't want to have that on on the live stream. But I mean, it'd be funny, but I just don't want to have that. But and yeah, she's laying right outside my door at the moment. But yeah, so again, another tangent, as I like to do with these. But anyway, so we had a good show today. We went through some headlines around the league, as we usually do to start off the show. Then we went into talking about the Cy Young race in the National League and the American League. It's pretty hectic in the National League. In the American League, you kind of have an idea. It's most likely going to be Garrett Cole, unless he doesn't pitch well his last couple of starts. And he didn't pitch good against the Pirates. So hopefully, I'm hoping he can get it, but we'll see. It's going to, right now, Luis Castillo is right there with him. So we'll see. But I think Garrett Cole most likely will get it, but, you never know. So that was in the second part of the show. Then we got into the recaps from last night, went over some of the scores with that, and then we talked about the power rankings and some of the discrepancies that people had with that, because I saw the complaints on social media. And if you're watching this and you know what I'm talking about, you understand where I'm coming from with that. But yeah, the biggest headline from last night, I talked about it basically for almost the whole first segment of the show, was Adam Wainwright picking up his 200th win for the Cardinals. And I think it's a great way. He's going to pitch again this year. But I think that's, and I said this, the Cardinals, with the year they've been having, it's nice that something like this occurred, and especially for a player that, Cardinal fans adore, who's been there for a while, has been there for those championships. Actually, I think he did miss 2011, actually. And that was the last time they won, because they won in 06, and he was like he was the closer, back then. So I think he did miss 2011. He did miss 2011, and that stinks that he wasn't able to be a part of that World Series team. But yeah, it just kind of stinks that, the year he's had, he's 5-11 with a 7.4 ERA. Like, that's not Adam Wainwright. But obviously he's 42. He's not what he used to be. But yeah, he did miss the 2011 season. So yeah, but he was he's part of the 06 team. He's another guy that's on his way out, and and you got a couple of players that are doing that this year. Wainwright, Miguel Cabrera, It's a lot of players you grow up watching, like especially for me, really started watching. The earliest memory I have of watching baseball was 2007. The fact that a lot of these guys you grow up watching are going, and you see it across sports. There's a lot of guys that are leaving and retiring. It's sad. It's sad because you're getting older. You're getting older, and I hate to see it because you want to see a lot of these guys play forever, but it's just because when I was younger, I like you don't think about it, but eventually guys are gonna not be playing anymore. But you never really think about it. You just think like these guys are immortal and they're just gonna play forever. But that's just not the case. I mean, like for me, when Derek Jeter announced his retirement, and I remember I was on the bus going home from school when I found out about it because I think I saw it first and then somebody told me, or vice versa. It was surreal because you're just like you would never expect that. You just thought like they were just gonna play like for your whole life, and it's not the case. And the Cardinals, last year with Pujols coming back and Yadier Molina being there for all those years, and both of those guys going out together, and Wainwright now retiring. I mean, it's a new era now for the Cardinals officially, because all those guys aren't going to be there anymore. And but yeah, I mean, I talked about it the other day with the, and obviously, from just a New York perspective, but you having all these prospects coming up, a lot of young guys coming up. It's a changing of the guard. You got a lot of youth movement, and and I think it's you look at football too with how a lot of the quarterbacks, from the 2010s and the 2000s, they're all leaving. A lot of them are gone now, but you look at who's playing now. We're in good hands, and I think with baseball it's the same thing. A lot of these sluggers, a lot of these great pitchers, they retire, but you know what? Guys that come in, there's going to be more of them, and we'll be in good hands. And you see that across baseball with a lot of these young players. I mean, Julio Rodriguez in Seattle, he's been amazing. I mean, you got Acuna. I mean, you got Betts. I mean, you can go down the line of all the players that we got. Aaron Judge, Ohtani. I mean, there's all these guys. We're in good hands. We're fine. It's just, but Wainwright was a solid pitcher, and Miguel Cabrera. I mean, from 2012, 2013, that was like the best like couple of years that you've ever seen from a right-handed hitter. I mean, the Triple Crown winner, he was unbelievable those few years. When the Tigers were a really good team, he was the best hitter in baseball. He just was at that point. And it just kind of stinks when you see how he is now. I mean, but it's what happens. Age catches up to everybody. Because he's a guy that doesn't play every day, but I mean, he still looks. I mean, the swing is still the same. It's just he's older now. He can't do it on a consistent basis, but that's what happens. But yeah, and then Adam Wainwright, 200th win, and then talked about Miguel Cabrera just now. But also the Rays getting a new ballpark. I think what I saw was like what it's supposed to look like, and it definitely is going to be an improvement over what they've had. So, we'll see. And I mean, the thing is though, it's like you got this small payroll, but I listen. I don't know like the specifics of it. You got the small payroll, but now you got a new stadium being built. But I mean, you have to. But again, like I don't know the whole situation, so But I mean, wouldn't you want to? But I understand. It's I don't know. That's just the business side of it that I not really an expert on. I don't know the behind the scenes with all that, what goes into that. But I don't know. Maybe you could get some. You could have used that money to try to improve the team. Maybe I don't know. But again, I don't really looked into it, so I don't really know like what the specifics are with that. But yeah, so so there was that. Just injury updates. Edwin Diaz, like there were some you know stuff out there saying he could come back and pitch this year, but it's definitely not happening. Which, I mean, even if the Mets were in contention, why would you want to risk bringing him back and then him getting injured again, and then you don't have him for next year either? I'll be honest though, I did miss the Trumpets. I did. I wanted to be in attendance for the Trumpets because I was at Citi Field twice last year. I was there for a Subway Series game, and well, the night before Diaz pitched, and it was the Mets won 2-1 over the Yankees, and it was really weird just seeing the Yankees getting walked off on because I've been going to games just at Yankee Stadium, so there's no chance of that happening. I mean, I've seen the Yankees, blow leads, but I have never seen the Yankees get walked off on, and it was just very weird. It was just very weird. It was very odd because I've never experienced that before, but that happened. And then I went to a Mets game with my friends, Mets Braves, like a week later, and they lost they were losing 8-0 after 2 innings to the Braves. And I mean, they actually ended up making it close. It was 8-5 the final score, but Diaz didn't pitch in that game either. So, but I would have loved to have seen the Trumpets. Hopefully the Trumpets are back next year, and Diaz is still good because, I mean, let's not forget, the beginning of his Mets career was not good. 2019 was rough. 2019 was a rough season for Edwin Diaz. And but you know what? He was able to figure it out, and he became the best closer in baseball. So, but now he's going to be coming back from injury, so hopefully he's able to rebound from it. And we hear the Trumpets again. So, but yeah, that was just the other thing too. And then we went into the Cy Young discussion, and it's just there's so many like the article I was looking at. It's true. It's what do you prefer when it comes to who should be the Cy Young winner? Now, it's really going to come down to ERA and I think wins. But ERA more specifically. Right now, Blake Snell's at a 2.43 ERA. He's got 14 wins, and he's got 3 less wins than Spencer Strider, who's got 17. But Strider's ERA is 3.7. Close to 4. You have Justin Steele. You got Zach Gallen. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I gotta get the pronunciation right. Gallen. I kept saying Gallan, but not Gallant, but Gallan. Gallen. I had Gallan on my mind, but I don't know. It's a Gallen. Gallen I think sounds right. I don't know. But I think right now it's probably Snell. And Justin Steele didn't do himself any favors with how he pitched the other night against the Diamondbacks, losing to Fad, the Diamondbacks pitcher who was 1-8 with a 6 ERA or 6+ ERA going into the game. And I said the Cubs should win that. I don't know what's going on with the Cubs. I 2-8 in their last 10. Well, let's see. Let's actually go back to Sunday. So they lost 6-2, right? So let's go to the lineup and see how these guys have been doing over the last 10 games. So Bellinger's actually was 0 for 4. He's down to 311, 890 OPS. So let's look. So Bellinger, last 30 games, 264, 479 slugging, 290 OPS. Last 15 games, 250, 288, 433. Well, last 7, he's been batting under 200, 258 on base percentage, 333 slugging. So 2-8 in your last 10 games. Bellinger's got 1 home run. He's got 3 home runs in his last 15 games. So, yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of the run production is. So it's there. You got that. Dansby Swanson's actually been good in the last 7 games, batting at 300, 9 hits in his last 30 at bats. He's got a home run and 3 RBIs. Yeah, I don't know what it's. It has to do with. It's got to deal with the different thing. I mean, 6-2 you lose on Sunday, Saturday you lose 7-6. So I mean, I guess there's some struggles with the pitching. And 6-4 against the Diamondbacks, they lost on Friday. Yeah, Justin Steele didn't pitch good. So I think look, to me on the as an outsider, the pitching was a concern. And I mean, listen, like I know they brought in Jameson Taillon and he hasn't been great, but yeah, Cubs they got to figure it out because it's just funny how I said that they were basically a lock for the playoffs, and right now that's not the case. They could end up missing the playoffs, and that would be a huge disappointment. And I talked about my displeasure if that ends up happening because the Yankees could have swooped in and just took Cody Bellinger from them, but the Cubs, they really turned it on, and they were playing really good baseball. And now all of a sudden, they just, for some reason, they've been struggling. But that's really how it's been. Excuse me. They teams play well, then they go cold, and it's just like I talked about yesterday, it's just a revolving door. And at some point, that revolving door is going to stop revolving, and we're going to finally know who made the playoffs, who's in the playoffs, and who's not in the playoffs. And you might have teams that are tied. There's you could see like 2 or 3 teams tied for that spot. But it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to that the tiebreakers. I just want to fix my earpiece. The whole show I had it like this, and it was tangled up. But again, there's nothing I really. Well, I mean I just have it because it makes you look podcast, look like a professional podcaster. You got the earpiece, you got the microphone. But it was like tangled the whole show. But so that's another exclusive. You see me untangling my earpiece, which I did not do during the live stream. So, but yeah, we're gonna see all these teams. We might see these teams tied up. It's gonna come down to the tiebreaker. But the bigger thing is also, well, not really the bigger thing, but another huge thing is the Mariners and the Rangers playing each other 7 times to close out the year. And then now there's a series in between that, but that could determine a lot. That's going to determine a lot. That's big for both teams. Because odds are, right now, whoever ends up being, on the losing end, now they could, go 4-5 against eeach other, 5-4. Wait, hold on. No, I'm not even. That's not right math. 4-3. 3-4, 4-3. That's how it could turn out. And that could be the difference in if you make the playoffs or not, because you got the Blue Jays right there, and the Blue Jays had it rough against the Rangers. Now, listen, they could still make it. They got the second spot right now. So if they and they play the Yankees, 3-game set in the Bronx, and I don't really expect much from the Yankees. I think the Blue Jays, if they can, they should sweep the Yankees. They should. They should. And then the Yankees go there next week. Listen, if the Blue Jays really want to make a statement and, show everybody why they're legit, win these big games. Win these games down the stretch and get yourself in the playoffs. Clinch a playoff spot. Because these last couple of years have really been a disappointment with how they finished. Just outside of the wild card a couple years ago. Last year, melting down against the Mariners. Show everybody that you deserve to be in the playoffs. And go out and do it. So, yeah, we'll just have to, we're just going to have to wait and see. But, that's just my thoughts on that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Mariners Rangers. That's a huge series. Those are two big series that are really going to determine who's going to make the playoffs and who's not, I think, out of those two teams. And like I said, I thought the Rangers were going to be on the outside looking in. Now, that looks... I mean, right now both teams are tied. So, but it's going to be a fight. The Mariners, they had some struggles during the year, but they figured it out. Julio Rodriguez is having a monster second half. I mean, he is one of the best players in baseball, and that's one of the young players you got to be excited for going forward. So, Rangers, they got off to a good start, but they've just been inconsistent lately. I mean, especially now. I mean, you sweep the Blue Jays, then you get swept by the Guardians. Like, what's going on? And now you just lost to the Red Sox. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, but I think the rotation. I mean, DeGrom getting hurt, then you get Scherzer. Now he's hurt. He's done for the year. Guys got to step up. But yeah, they're just they're going through it right now. But listen, like they're still right there. I mean, they could have just collapsed and. I mean, they've kind of collapsed. But they could have just, collapsed and, be completely out of it and really have no chance. But no, they're still right there. Because then they put together a few stretches where you're like, okay, here we go, like sweeping the Blue Jays. There you go. This is how they get going. And then then they take another step back and they get swept by the Guardians. It just it's just weird. But that's just how baseball is. It's all about momentum. Right now, the Blue Jays are the team that has the momentum because now they got the second wild card. And then on top of that, you have the Rays and the Orioles who are neck and neck for that AL East title. And the Orioles just got to keep winning. And that was that was a big win last night. And I did not realize that Cedric Mullins hit a go-ahead home run in the ninth inning. A 3-run home run. I just glanced at the score and, and I said, oh, they got a big win winning 8-7. But it was a dramatic win last night. That's one of the biggest wins the Orioles, that might be the biggest win of the season. I mean, unless there's others that that I'm forgetting. If you're an Orioles fan, let me know if there was another a bigger win. But if it's not the biggest win, that is definitely one of the biggest wins of the season for the Orioles, especially because of, where we are at this point in the season, how many games you're up in the division, and who it was against. It was against the defending champs in their house. That's huge. Orioles they're going to give teams problems. They are going to, they're going to have home field advantage. If they can clinch the AL East, they're going to have home field advantage. It's either going to be them or the Rays having home field advantage. But I'm just not a Rays believer. They are a very good team, and they, you know, it's not like they have no chance or anything like that to make it to the World Series. I just feel like the track record is they get to the playoffs and they get knocked out. That's what's happened over the last couple of years. I mean, 2021, everybody thought like, oh man, the Rays are really good. This is their year, and then they lost to the Red Sox, who were a team that was supposed to be rebuilding. Last year, they get knocked out by the Guardians in the wild card round. You know, but last year was kind of like a down year. They weren't really as good in the regular season. This year, they're very good. Now, they did lose their best player for some off the field stuff that we don't have to get into. But I mean, this team is still very good. I just don't really trust them to get all the way to the World Series. I think the shortened season really benefited them, and that's why they were able to do it. But yeah, it's I really don't think they're gonna make it. I think it's gonna come down to the Orioles and the Astros. That's what I think, and that'll be a great series. You got the World Series champs against the underdogs. If that's what it comes down to, and that's what you have right now. So, and we'll see how the Astros respond. I mean, listen, Astros got to win these games too because they're a game and a half up on the Rangers and the Mariners. Those teams are right there. So they got to come back and they got to win tonight because these teams can make up ground against them. Mariners are playing the A's right now. I mean, the Rangers, they lost, but they got to get their act together. They need to win tonight. They got to take this series because that race is very close. And the Astros, I'm going to stay consistent, and I have confidence in the Astros. And again, this is a Yankee fan saying this. This team is going to win the division. It's going to be tough. They are a game and a half up. But I think ultimately that's the team that will win the division. Especially because you're going to have the Mariners and the Rangers playing each other a lot towards the end of the year. So they're going to be beating each other up. And that's going to leave the door open for the Astros to just say, okay, all right, you guys fight it out. We're just going to go over here and just clinch another division. So, but yeah, that's basically it with the show for, the Patreon part of the show for today. So I thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, live streaming, 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, another Patreon exclusive content video would be recorded soon after that. So until then, once again, Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and to follow us on our social media platforms. We greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Kenneth Grunfelder signing off. Have a good day. And I will talk to you guys then. Take care.